So, little news item here that it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it did kind of bug me. So, let's throw this LA Times tear sheet back up on the screen. Cops, the long-running reality show, is going to return on Fox News' streaming service, basically failing streaming service called Fox Nation. So it's going to be, for subscription, you can get episodes of Cops on Fox Nation. LA Times talked to the executive over there at Fox about the sort of criticism of the show, which had been pulled along with Live PD in the wake of the George Floyd protests. And he said, look, I can't speak to a larger cultural movement that was happening at the time of its cancellation. I think the content stands on its own. It's a very compelling show for people who are interested in following the lives of police officers. So let me tell you why this bothers me. There's a podcast out there called Running from Cops, which is actually...
Yeah, you told me about this at the time. I had no idea.
Yeah, so it's actually really excellent. And what it exposes is you think when you're watching Cops, and I growing up used to watch this show too, you think you're really getting an unvarnished look at what really happens. But it turns out, like all of these reality shows, so much of what you're seeing is fake and is fabricated. And it creates these horrific incentives. Number one, for the cops who are on camera to sort of perform for the camera. And number two, it's just completely dedicated to like exploiting poor people who are at their, experiencing the worst moments in their lives. Then, and I always wondered this too, like, how do you get people to agree to be on this show and sign the release, et cetera? Running from Cops digs into the really unscrupulous tactics that they use to basically forge people's signatures and coerce them into using the threat of legal action, coerce them into signing these releases so that they're horrifically, embarrassing them at their worst moments are forever memorialized and they're shamed in their entire community. And again, totally classist, preying on exploiting poor and vulnerable people, disproportionately Black, of course. And there have even been instances, and this again is from Running from Cops, but documented in this news article as well that we can throw up on the screen, where in order to play to the camera, cop allegedly, looks very likely based on what happens on camera, plants drugs on a woman who was completely innocent so that they can have their moment of glory on the, on the small screen here. What happened is they pulled this woman over. They said that they suspected drug use because she had a marijuana tattoo and like a Grateful Dead bear tattoo, something stupid like that. They open up her trunk. They find some sort of like, dust, something of that nature. They test it to see whether it's cocaine. It comes back negative. The police goes back then to the trunk and tests it again, and lo and behold, now it's positive. So it looks very much like they effectively planted the drugs on her so that they could have their moment of glory. So anyway, it's a gross show. It's not good for society. It just makes us like look down on and have more contempt for poor people. It does not actually show like the best of law enforcement doing what they can to keep communities safe. Totally exploitative, and it sucks that it's coming back, but there you go.
Look, I believe in redemption, and I have no sympathy for criminals. And at the end of the day though, like, embarrassing people, like, look, that's the worst day of their lives, right? And like, once again, I think they should be punished, but that doesn't mean that you should be broadcasting it for people's enjoyment. And I think that's the problem, which is that you introduce the money and you introduce the entertainment aspect. And I didn't know, it shows that it actually makes perfect sense. People are going to perform for the camera, obviously. Maybe even both sides. Yeah, it's a human nature thing. They want attention, A boring night is actually good for the rest of the populace, not good for the camera crew.
Not good for ratings.
So you think about that, you put it all together, let's keep the cameras off, and let's make sure that, let's keep the entertainment cameras off, and let's make sure that we don't make this into some culture war thing where it's like, actually the show Cops is great. It's like, as you think about it, I was riveted by it too. You're in a hotel room or a motel or whatever, you turn it on, and it's kind of entertaining, but that's kind of the problem, and we should think about that.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate cancel culture. Once you've been like, publicly shamed like that. People had to move out of their communities, et cetera, because they were so embarrassed.
And sometimes they're getting arrested. And I'm not excusing this. Sometimes they're getting arrested for like drunk driving. And look, drunk driving is bad. I think drunk drivers should be punished. I think, we're taking your license away. All of that. Does that mean I think that you should be punished forever? And you should be ultimately ashamed of yourself? No. And there's a reason the law isn't written that way. So that's what I think gets to the problem.
Yeah. Indeed. Anyway, just wanted to update you on that little story, and we'll have more for you guys later. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.